Hey everyone, welcome to the UnPack Pittsburgh podcast. My name is Alaina and next to me is Bryan. Today we are at Shape Training in East Liberty with DJ. DJ, thanks for having us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you. I'm the operations director at Shape Training and co-owner.
That is awesome. Thank you for the intro.
Yeah, and this is a fantastic space. I wish people could see behind, but you should definitely come visit. It is a ton of windows. I don't know how many windows you actually have here, but it's...
Yeah, I mean, the lighting is great. We got really lucky with that.
Yeah, and it's a great place to work out. So why don't you, for people who might not have heard of Shape, why don't you kind of just give them like the down low on, what it is and why they should come here?
Yeah, so I've been in the area for about 13, 14 years. Started at a big box gym like a lot of trainers do. Met a couple of really good guys, and after 2 or 3 years there, we kind of all went our own separate ways. And then the president of Shape Training and the founder wanted to bring a couple of us together to start this. Okay. We always wanted to do our own thing. We all had a passion for fitness and training and helping people, and we knew that was the best way that we could, make our career our passion. So about 10 years ago, we just did boot camps in the park. That was just kind of our way to do guerrilla style marketing. I had clients in the area, so we got a couple of our clients to give us some seed money to start everything. We did the renovations ourselves around the corner in a smaller studio space. And then we were lucky enough to come onto this opportunity in about 2018. Shape Training, the most thing I would want people to know about us is that, we use the terms, this is a training facility. We call our trainers coaches, and we call our clients athletes. Now, a lot of people push back, I'm not an athlete. People that have the athletic mindset, though, the growth mindset, that they're willing to be uncomfortable but be supported, be coached, like that's our ideal person that comes to Shape. We have the tagline, strong elite lifestyle. That just means be the strongest version of yourself, not just physically, which people always think of a gym as, but mentally, emotionally, which carries into other parts of your life. Elite meaning I'm not better than you, you're not better than me. It's just trying to be the elite version of myself. And then lifestyle is just like, it's all encompassing. We do something called me versus me, where we not just talk about the movements that we can help change your life, and I do mean that, picking movements that will change your life, help you move better, feel better, perform better, all those type of things. We also talk about energy, which is your sleep and your nutrition. I think people are becoming a little bit more aware of that these days.
Yeah, sleep's very important.
Yeah, when I first became a trainer, it just wasn't a thing growing up. And then we talk about mindset is super important. One of my favorite things to ask someone is what's their relationship with exercise and self-improvement. And it's very interesting, the answers you get.
Wow. How would you answer that?
Yeah.
What?
She was paying attention.
So it's a good question,
So,
right?
yeah. Why don't you ask her and let's see how she would answer. Sorry to catch you.
It's kind of like, why do you exercise? But whenever you do, physically active, whatever that is in your current life, how does that affect your self-esteem or your ability to perform in other aspects of your life?
Well, like you said earlier, if I'm working out, I will be in a better mood, which scientifically, that is true,
yeah,
right?
the endorphins and dopamine, those are all real things. People are becoming way more aware of those.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, especially my friends, they don't like working out, and they're like, how do you do it? And I try to explain it makes me happy.
Yeah.
I think you just gotta get into it and find that out,
Yeah, I think a lot of people come in with the mindset that exercise is punishment.
Yeah.
You gotta do it just to be skinnier so you can eat. No,
you just gotta figure out what type of workout you like, really.
Yeah. And then the last thing to go off of what I was saying was your environment. Who's your support system? What's your stressors in your life? Once you identify those things, sometimes it's amazing how you're able to feel more motivated. Because motivated is comes and goes, but
right.
The lifestyle and the habits is what we're trying to help people with.
Yeah, it definitely seems like this isn't a go to the gym and just leave workout. It's kind of a lifestyle where when you buy into it, the benefits are not just physical.
Yeah.
There's so much more. And stereotyping a gym, you go lift to look good or skinny or bigger, whatever your goal is. But you guys are taking it to that whole nother level.
Yeah.
let's talk about someone out there who might want to come try this. So you kind of
Yeah.
walk through, you have memberships, but then
Yep.
you also do your training. So let's
Yep.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, our three main services is an open gym membership. People come and work out on their own. We still give them a gym tour and definitely still want them to feel like they're seen, heard, acknowledged. Ask them, hey, what's most important to you when you're picking out a gym? We do group training. We call it group athletics. That's usually an easier way for people to get introduced to the thing. Now, I like group training for the energy, the camaraderie, the competitiveness. I'm a competitive person, so I try harder, honestly, when there's other people around.
Sure.
And
Competing. I like
yeah,
it.
yeah. The biggest thing is the personal training, the one-on-one, or we do semi-private 2-on-1 or 3-on-1. We always offer someone what's called a goal-setting session, and I think that's a unique opportunity that we take very serious. We have people come in, give them a tour of the space. Hopefully they feel comfortable in it. I even sometimes forget that it's an intimidating place for people. I've been in gyms, pretty much my entire life, really since college. And we ask them to do something called, like I showed you, is the Fit 3D body scan. And that's just a really good tool to help people understand where their baseline is right now. And then, if they do start a membership or start a program with us, how their body is changing, the composition of it. It gives you a body rating score. It does hip to weight ratio, posture and balance score, things that people don't think about. They're like hunched over all day and they're texting or cell phones, right? So it's interesting.
I bought a stand-up desk to try to help with that.
Yeah, those are real things, and it just gives people a lot of information that wasn't accessible whenever I first started. And then that goal setting session, we do what we kind of talked about, the me versus me thing, really get the in-depth know the person. And then we go through a workout, do a functional movement screening, that type of thing.
Yeah, like all those extras you provide really put you above like other gyms and other options.
Yeah.
So on this top floor, we see there's a boxing section, cardio, there's lifting.
Yeah.
So how do the classes work? Do you go from room to room, or are they all different?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we offer 7 types of strength and conditioning classes. All of our classes are based on a training principle, which is also kind of unique.
Okay.
So there's a rhyme and reason. Like I always tell people, you can go to a lot of places for a random hard workout, and you might feel good in the moment because you sweated and you tried real hard, but it takes a little bit of discipline to stick with something, and especially something that's going to be progressively harder over time. And when we follow that programming, we can genuinely take someone from point A to point B to point C, and not just like sporadically come in and do random stuff. So I mentioned earlier that we do this programming called REPS, RREPS. The first R stands for readiness. That phase is about 6 weeks long. We work on stability and conditioning, which is kind of like where we start people off. We do something called resilience, which is like muscular endurance. So think like higher rep, more time under tension. Then we do something called evolve, which is like muscle hypertrophy, which a lot of people typically think of lifting. It's your 3 to 4 sets, rep range 6 to 12. A lot of people associate with like bodybuilding, that type of thing. But when you go to our class, we're doing, it's an overused term, but functional movements. So it's not just like you're doing single joint exercises like a curl or something. You're like lunging and pressing, squatting and rowing, like stuff like that. Stuff that emulate things that you would do in everyday life. And then there's just life-changing exercises. And then we do something called peak, which is just meaning peak performance. You're trying to be the strongest version of yourself. And then we do something called skill and force, where you're using the skills you acquired in previous phases to master those things, or be a little bit more, I use the term explosive, be a little bit more powerful. And that's usually a good feeling. That lasts 6 months. So we really encourage people, whether you're doing the group training or the one-on-one, to give us a try for 6 months. You mentioned the boxing. When we first started, it was real big, the boutique boxing thing. It's kind of died down, especially after COVID and the pandemic. People were like, afraid to get close to each other, which is fine. But we have a couple amateur boxers. I've been teaching boxing for about 12 years. I've never had a professional fight, but I've done sparring and all those type of things. But I've taught group training and group boxing for the last 10 years at Shape. It's actually one of my favorite things to do, because like that can be life changing.
Yeah.
It's a skill like
Seems
anything else.
therapeutic to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Anytime
It's a
I
great
ever hit
stress
the bag
reliever.
at one of my old gyms in San Diego, they had one.
Yeah.
It was just like you could go in there after a bad day.
Yeah, right.
You come out feeling good.
Yeah, get aggression or stress out. I like to categorize or describe our boxing though as like no one here is usually training for a professional fight, but we're also not doing like cardio boxing, I call it, right? 100 punches, mountain climbers, body weight squats. Like I'm teaching you like real combination, real punches, how to strike the bag, how to do defense. But I understand most people are coming here for a good workout, so I'm still going to challenge you through intensity. We'll do some body weight things, push-ups and jumping jacks and all those type of things. But I intentionally we use that word, structure my classes that's hopefully in a competitive, fun atmosphere. And if you come experience it, you'll definitely like, oh wow, this is different.
Well, Alaina said she was going to do a class.
I'm excited.
Committed to that. It would be cool to see. So how many coaches do you have on staff, you said?
Yeah, we have about 18 to 20. We are very big on coach development. There's a lot of certifications out there on how to, the anatomy and physiology of training, or get a kettlebell certification or Olympic lifting certification. But we help them like on the business aspect and the marketing, personal finances, business finances, how to brand yourself, like all those things that they don't teach you in college. If you get like anatomy and physiology degree or exercise science, like they just teach you, the muscles worked in a squat. They're not teaching you, okay, Miss Jones is 52 years old. She has right knee pain. She wants to quit the gym because she thinks it's too hard. Like, okay, how do you have that conversation? Yeah. How do you get her set up on a program? Like all those other type of things that like
you design it for them to hit success. You know what I mean?
Like
instead of just like a cookie cutter.
I think a lot of young trainers or coaches get into it because they like to work out themselves, and maybe they even want to help people, but they don't understand like you have to have these other business and life skills, and to truly help someone for a substantial amount of time, and not just for a 45 or 60-minute workout, is you have to like understand all these other like soft skills that I didn't learn. The only way I learned was like through the last 10 years of business, and if I had one of those things when I first started, I feel like I'd be miles ahead. So we do that, and then not to cut you off, but like we have something called Shape University that I mentioned that we started, and that is for the entrepreneur-minded coach. We have 9 pillars, and we just finished our first workshop a couple weeks ago. So we had some local trainers, but we want to expand that to like help, countries, like trainers, coaches all over the country, or maybe even the world eventually.
So if a trainer sees this, aka a coach, should they DM you or like? So there's a couple things. One, obviously, someone may want to come in and try out.
Absolutely. If you're in the area.
But also, let's just talk about the coaching piece right now. How would you instruct them to kind of contact you? Like, because I know you did your workshop, and now you're kind of like waiting to see what the next move is. What would you like any coach or trainer out there to think?
I mean, if they're area, definitely stop by. We usually have them take a class so they kind of experience the environment, and then set up a more formal interview. If they just want to get some questions answered, stuff like that, I would have them follow Shape Train 412 on the Instagram. I think it's the same on Facebook, or they can DM me, which is DJ_Shape Training. We also have a separate page for Shape University. I'm trying to think of the exact Instagram handle, but I think it's just Shape_University, and that's where we put a lot of our recent content directed specifically towards helping coaches.
So you do?
Yeah, but I want to hear yours first.
Oh, you want to hear mine? Okay. Yeah. So when athletes like sign up and they look at your classes and everything, do the coaches plan out their workouts, or do they let them choose? How does that work?
She's good at this.
Wow. Yeah, thank God she's on the pod.
So mad.
Right. So I think that's another thing that makes us different than a lot of other places. All of our trainers or coaches that lead the classes are full-time trainers. Not to knock anyone else's, because there are a lot of good businesses out there. If you go to certain ones, that's just like their part-time job, or they have their other professional, but maybe they like fitness, or they want to teach a class, and the programming usually comes from corporate or the manager. Here, our coaches program the classes themselves. They're full-time coaches, but they have what I call playbooks, and they have to follow a template. So they get to choose the exercises, but they still have to stay true to the training principle of that class. For example, if I can give you a quick one, We have a class called the lift, right? We use the barbell as like a landmine, it's called. That one's based on something called the 4 pillars of movement. So in every class, you'll do a push and pull exercise with the upper body. You'll do a level change, you'll do a rotation, and you'll do some locomotion, which is like moving from point A to point B. Now the coach gets to choose those exercises, and then they have to follow what phase we're in. And then there's a movement pattern in each phase that we're trying to improve upon. So we're trying to build people to be better moving humans. So in that first phase that I mentioned of readiness, a lot of people think it's funny, but crawling is actually one of the most primal things you can do. We all start on our hands and feet when you're crawling like a baby. And then we do work on sprint or run mechanics. A lot of people don't learn how to run properly. You just kind of go out and do it. And there's a lot of technique. It's just like any other skill. And then we do evolve is rotation. Then we do vertical power, which is jumping. And then we do horizontal power, which is like broad jumping. And I think that's all of them.
It's always interesting to talk to someone like you for a company or a brand who's so obviously passionate, right? Like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, so much thought, so much strategic play. But I bet you when your athletes come in, they don't feel all of that, what you just said. They just are here to enjoy it, and you teach them, and it's imperative if you want to hit a certain level of success to have someone like you or one of your coaches in their life, because all the stuff that you just said, I got like some of it. I'm paying attention, but like I'm like, oh shit, I missed some of that. But then like that's why it is value to have a coach, is because you don't need to learn it, you just need to follow it and follow the playbook. And I like your branding. It's very athletic the whole way around, all terminology.
Thank you. It's intentional. I appreciate you guys use the word athlete. I think it really is important to understand why you get a coach. Because if I wanted to, learn to play the guitar, I would want to get a coach to learn how to do it. And then I'd want to practice on my own and master it. And hopefully I wouldn't need a guitarist, but I'm sure I could always learn something new. Like I mentioned, I've had clients for my entire training career, so all 14 years. That's impressive. Some people, it's just for a year. And that's fine too. I'm just here to help them on the next step of their journey. And if I can do that, then that's as rewarding as training the person. Now I have a deeper relationship with that person for 14 years. So I think that's a big, difference.
What is your personal favorite and least favorite workout?
Define workout. Like, what do you mean?
Exercise.
Like a specific one exercise? Okay. My least favorite is, I'm going to say thrusters, if you know what that is. It's like a squat to an overhead press. It's just something that I struggle with. And that's specific about my body, about my ankle mobility and stuff like that. As far as my favorite, great question. So there's something called a devil press. It's almost like a push-up, and then you do it. It's called a double dumbbell snatch overhead. Okay. And it just works the whole body, and because I have decent technique and I understand how to use my body, especially my hip extension, like I can do them pretty efficiently and go kind of heavy, and like everyone's like, oh wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, you're getting complimented. I've never been complimented in the middle of my workout. Go ahead.
But if you meant like favorite workout as far as like training style, is, it's interesting, my journey, I started off as so I was an overweight kid. Okay. And I was at my heaviest, I think I was like 245, 250 in high school. And I was like, this is before I knew what I was doing. I was like, I'm just going to run and not eat. Wow. And I got super skinny. I got down to 145 pounds. Okay. And I trained for a marathon, but I didn't do it properly. I just ran like 50, 60 miles a week. And I thought I just could do that.
Can lead to some injuries.
Yeah. Things hurt. I wasn't doing strength training. And then I did discover, I got a trainer. This really great gym. It's actually in the area called Raw, and I consider the owner of that. Her name's Amy Buteri, and as my mentor, and she introduced me into strength training. I did CrossFit for a little while or whatever, but they had specific marathon training, but a lot of it was a lot less running, a lot more strength training. And then I actually went back to school, got my personal trainer certification, and learned how to properly train. But now I like to train like an athlete, I say. And I follow our programming with the different phases. And I teach a class called the AC, the Athlete's Cardio, where we work on speed, power, and agility. And probably if you watched it from afar, you think it looks like a sports practice because we use like hurdles and ladders and cone drills and ball. We have a hill built into that other gym, so we do a lot of hill sprints, stuff like that. So like that's my favorite way because I feel more confident when I feel and look athletic.
I was just at the Steelers training camp the last couple days, and it's interesting when they come out. I think they come out about 2 o'clock-ish or whatever. But for the first almost hour, it was just like stretches and not like intense workouts that you would think an NFL player would be doing. But you watch them, and all their movements were very clear, concise, with a reason. Yeah. Mostly to, probably avoid injury, but still to get them at their peak, ready to go. So
it's actually interesting. When we first started the class, Yarden played football at Duquesne, and then he was on the Eagles for a little while, and then bounced around, I think, in the Arena Football League. Okay. But I say that because him and I first developed that class, and a lot of it was him. We do like line drills, like you would see like the football players come out. So like I love that feel. The people that come to it, I think also like whether they know it or not, that's what I'm doing to them. But like I blow the whistle, and they all like go down the line, and it's very like uniform, organized, and intentional.
So before we get to the end, can you remind everyone what makes shape training so different from a typical gym?
Yeah, I think what I mentioned, not just the people come in for the movement. Yeah, we're going to help you learn how to lunge, do a push-up, maybe do your first pull-up ever. But that energy thing is important. You got to fuel your body properly for the type of training that you're doing and the type of body that you want. Sleep is really important. I don't care how well you eat or how great of a workout is, if you didn't get good quality sleep, especially over time. I think I came from the mindset with like less sleep, wake up early, that's more hardcore, but your body just needs rest. And then the mindset thing is huge, the athletic mindset and the environment. We try to bring that all together, and it is a community. I think we talked about that early. That's usually what keeps people there over time, is that sense of belonging, community. We're in this together.
Yeah, and are you from Pittsburgh?
I grew up Beaver, which is north of the airport.
Not too far. Yeah.
Then I went to Penn State.
Okay. So you're in the line?
Yeah,
okay.
We are.
All right.
But it's actually interesting. I don't know if I mentioned I was an IST major in information science technology. Okay. I worked for IBM as a mobile employee before it was cool to work from home. So I moved to Miami because it was always my dream to live at the beach, which I kind of regret moving away from it. But I was down there for 2 years, and then I moved back to Pittsburgh because I think I mentioned I joined the Air Force. So I did that for 6 years, and that like took me all over the place. And then I was in the Air Force Reserve, and my home base was Pittsburgh 9/11. So I was like, I'm just going to move back to Pittsburgh. And that's when I got my job as a trainer over at a gym called Urban Active by Bakery Square. And then
very cool.
Everything led me to here.
That's where
to
we're
this
heading
moment.
After this, actually, is Bakery Square. It's pretty cool, and they're growing over there. So.
Oh yeah.
So we did like you already know, we did a podcast here like last week or whatever it was, and this feels, actually her brother, I'll steal his kind of quote, is he kind of said this feels like a Lawrenceville before it was Lawrenceville kind of thing. Like this area is trending up. There's so many nice parts and nice businesses. So you have such a great location. Yeah,
we got fortunate.
Easy parking. There is a parking structure right behind. So awesome. So did you say your Instagram handle? Did you say that?
Yeah, DJ_shape training.
Okay.
Definitely looking to increase our online presence because there's a lot of people out there that, there's a lot of training options out there and a lot of people out there trying to push a message that actually haven't physically trained people. And I think that gives me and my team an advantage, is that I've been doing this for over 10 years, helped all types of body people. I've trained some of the Steelers. A lot of the Steelers' girlfriends or wives come here, especially to my boxing class. And my clientele, I have clients in their 60s, I have clients in their 20s, I have a youth athlete. I can train anybody appropriately and how to progress and regress things and that type of thing. So definitely DJ_shape training, and then definitely follow Shape Train 412.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you having us. We'll kind of check out the our UnPack Pittsburgh pages because Alaina will do a highlight. But go ahead. You want to wrap us up?
Yeah. Thank you for having us, DJ. If you guys are ready to start your fitness journey or get back into the health and fitness world, definitely stop by. Check out Shape Training.
Take your first free class, just like she is.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
We're
Thank
definitely
you.
going to put that on the page.
Yes.
For sure. Awesome. Thanks for your time. We really
Yeah,
appreciate
it. It was
Thanks.
awesome.
It was awesome.
You were great.
Thanks for washing.
Yes.